Hey guys, welcome to Did You Get That on Film? On this podcast, we deep dive into horror movies, and so it is full of explicit content as well as spoilers. Please be advised. Now, let's get to the show.
This is Did You Get That on Film? Where we discuss characters in terrible situations we would never find ourselves in. I'm your host DP, and with me always is my good friend, someone who knows that in 10 minutes I'm gonna want some tutti fucking fruity. My girl Ruth. What's up? What's up, Ruth?
Hello. Welcome everybody to a brand new episode.
This is really exciting because this is a new month and we curated these to fit all together.
Yes, so last month was February, so of course we had to do Black History Month, of course. And this month we're really excited, like not trying to get sued or anything, but we were kind of thinking of calling this one our Hellbilly Deluxe month because very similarly to when we first started the podcast, we started the podcast with a Rob Zombie double feature. And so this month we are going to be, surprise, bringing you back-to-back Rob Zombies and then movies that are kind of in the same vein. So we're really excited about these. So with that being said, the first movie in our Hellbilly Deluxe month is going to be The Devil's Rejects. So this was released in 2005. And it was, of course, written, directed, and produced by Rob Zombie. And this is the sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses, which we covered in our second episode. So if you haven't listened, please go back and give it a listen. It is one of my favorite episodes that we've done. And it lays a lot of the groundwork for the characters and storyline that happens in this particular movie. So this movie is the second film in the Firefly trilogy, with the third film being Three from Hell, which was released much later. So that one came out in 2019?
Yes, 2019.
I don't want to speak ill of it, but it had been a long time since I'd watched this one, and I just think that I really do honestly think that it should have ended with this one. I'm all for Rob Zombie movies. We talk about Rob all the time. You know, we love Rob, but I would have rathered something different instead of a follow-up to this movie, especially after so long. And we talked about it in House of a Thousand Corpses. The three titular characters come back, so Otis, Baby, and Captain Spaulding, but, you know, everybody's a lot older now. Obviously, it's a ton of time between 2005 and 2019. And Sid Haig, actually, who is a really prominent character and one of our favorite characters from these movies, he was really sick by the time they made the third movie. So he wasn't in it nearly as much as he was supposed to be. And he died, like, right after the movie came out.
Right after. It must have been like back to back. Almost like within like a week or so.
Yes. And so, you know, and when you watch it, he's not in it very much, but when you do see him, he looks kind of sick, you know? I mean, it was obviously towards the very end of his life. And so, you know, I just kind of, you know, I appreciate it for what it is, but I really wish that it ended here. And we'll get into that a lot more as we go through it. But I don't know. What do you think?
Of the movie of Firefly trilogy.
The trilogy, the fact that they made a
I really
third
don't like
one.
that.
Okay.
I really don't like it at all. You know what I don't like about it? And I think I always talk about this in the podcast. I like things that are different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rob always does something different. And the
Mm-hmm.
third movie, it's just so similar to this one. So it's just kind of like, I'd rather see something that maybe is just like different and polarizing. This felt like a run-of-the-mill sequel. I think Devil's Rejects is his most as universally acclaimed as a Rob Zombie movie can be. So I feel like he just was like, well, let me redo this.
Yeah.
That just seems so out of character.
So when he did House of a Thousand Corpses, and we talked about it in that episode, we just kind of felt like when he made that movie, that was his first movie, and it was supposed to be a Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights attraction, and then Universal was like, hey, we're going to give you some money. Do you want to make a movie? And he's like, fuck yeah, because Rob Zombie loves movies. He loves cinema. He's all about it. You can tell in his movies that he pulls from a lot of different films, different genres. And so I think he was probably super excited to make that movie. So he just threw a bunch of stuff in the movie. It's all over the place. And that is nice to some people, not nice to others. I think Rob himself says that he thinks that movie is really flawed. He's not crazy about it. So I feel like that movie was like a getting everything out of his system type movie. So then when it came time to make this movie, I think that I was reading that he said that he had an idea for the movie. And like right after House of a Thousand Corpses, he kind of had this floating around in his head, very similarly to like Kevin Williamson with, you know, he had Scream, but he already had the idea of Scream 2 in his head. It was very similar to that, but he wasn't sure if he would ever get the opportunity to make it. And then he did, and he was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make this one kind of nothing at all of what the first one was. And he really sat down and he really tried to make it a movie instead of like a big spectacle like he did with House of a Thousand Corpses. And so it just kind of felt like a natural progression, but it also felt like growth for him as a filmmaker. I don't see why he made the third one. I just don't. I don't get. I don't understand his reasoning.
He you think he needed the money or something?
I don't know.
It feels like money. It feels like a cash grab.
I don't know. Maybe it was a cash grab. I don't know. But I feel like, I mean, he did the
Which I
Munsters,
liked.
right? And that was
Oh, a
different,
passion
you
project. He
know?
loves some monsters.
Right. So I'm just like, I don't know if he could do that, a passion project that didn't, you know. So I can't really imagine why he would just feel like doing a cash grab. It doesn't, it just, to me, and I don't know this man at all, y'all. I'm just,
But don't we?
but don't we though? These are my feelings. It's like I read about him. I like his stuff. I just feel like for somebody that is such a movie buff that loves the art of it, like I don't know if Quentin Tarantino would do a cash grab movie because I just feel like it's below him. You know what I mean? It's like a cinema buff, somebody that really just loves movies, loves the medium. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like, I don't know that he would, I feel like he would just put out an album before he made a cash grab movie. I don't know.
I know you guys are all thinking, well, why are y'all talking about Three from Hell so much and this is Devil's Rejects? Well, the reason is we just want to say we're never going to do that movie. So we wanted to.
So we say all that to say,
It's never going to happen. So
so we're gonna go through this movie. We're gonna get started because you don't want to bore you guys too much. But it's just like I like the ending of this movie a lot, and I just feel like it's almost sullied by the fact that he made this third movie. I'm going to pretend that that movie doesn't exist.
It's great to do stuff like that.
Yeah. I just feel like that'd be so liberating for us to just...
It is.
Yeah. So great. Yeah, let's just pretend it doesn't exist. And yeah. So, with that being said, are you ready to get started?
I am.
Okay. So, the movie opens with the audience being shown some crime scene photos of women who have been murdered by the Firefly family. We also get some on-screen text and a voiceover explaining that on May 18th, 1978, Sheriff John Wydell and the Rugsville County authorities led a search and destroy mission on this decaying farmhouse that we know from House of a Thousand Corpses that is the Firefly family's farmhouse. During this raid on the house, the police discovered a lot of diaries and scrapbooks detailing more than 75 murders. So we knew from House of a Thousand Corpses that the Firefly family had no qualms about killing people. We saw the cheerleaders in that movie. We know that they abducted our 4 Scooby-Doo gang members, killed them, but their crimes extend way beyond that in scope. So it goes on to say that the family responsible for these murders have been dubbed the Devil's Rejects. So then we get a zoom in shot on one of the evidence photos, one of the victims. It transitions to show what happened to that victim. And we see tiny Firefly, who is anything but tiny. He's huge. He's dragging her naked, lifeless body through the woods, presumably to dispose of her somewhere. As he's doing this, he then spots a series of police cars driving by, heading towards the family's farmhouse. At the house, the entire Firefly family is sleeping, knocked out. We get a shot of Otis, who is sleeping with the naked corpse of a freshly killed woman. Fresh or not, I don't know. She's dead. We get shots of baby. We get shots of Mother Firefly. Grandpa Firefly is not in this movie. He does not make an appearance. I think that, one, because the actor who plays Grandpa died before this movie was shot. I think that I was reading that Rob just felt like it was wrong to recast him, especially because I don't think he would have been in it very long anyway.
Right.
Now, as the police pull up, out hops who we will learn is Sheriff John Wydell, and he's talking to another officer, Officer Dobson, and he is referring to his brother, George Wydell. George Wydell, we met in the first movie. He was the main cop in that movie. He was the one that was actively looking for the Scooby-Doo gang, specifically Denise, because her dad was searching for her specifically. He ended up at the Firefly family's house after speaking to Captain Spaulding, and he was killed in that one. So it was a whole big scene. He was killed. His Deputy Nash was killed. He was shot in the head by Mother Firefly. So John Wydell is out for vengeance. And so he's telling Dobson that it is time to do some cleansing of the wicked. And Sheriff Wydell, there's a lot of religious a lot of religious imagery around his character. He likes to think of himself as a righteous character. I guess that is up to you to decide if you feel that he is that way. But Sheriff Wydell then calls the family over the loudspeaker, jarring them awake and telling them to vacate peacefully. But Peaceful is not the Firefly way. So they're like, fuck that. And we then see them arming themselves and trying to plan an escape. So we get a shot of Mother Firefly. So she's been recast. And I was reading that she was recast because the original actress wanted more money for this one. Because Mother Firefly has a bigger role in this one, I would say.
I mean, I understand wanting more money in the sense of like you want to get paid, but to the point where you would walk.
It's not that Rob Zombie it didn't appreciate her. The budget is small. Remember, Rob Zombie's putting this all on. He's written, directed, produced by him. I don't think he has a huge budget for these movies. You know what I
Right,
mean? He was just like he couldn't do it.
right. And I just feel like when you do that, when you get recast, then in the lore, you just play this role. Whereas, like, if you're never recast, then you are in the lore of that character.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's just like, yeah, you played Motherfucker in the first one, but then the second one you didn't. So whatever.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, isn't RJ different too?
Yeah.
Additionally, RJ in the first movie didn't talk,
Right.
and then this RJ talked, and I was like, oh. So it's Mother Firefly recast, RJ recast, Otis, and Baby. And we get this heartwarming little scene of Baby and Mother Firefly, and they are exchanging some I love yous because they're in a tough spot right now, right? And then everybody ends up donning these, it's like homemade metal masks, like bulletproof type masks. And they proceed to get into a shootout with the police. So just, I mean, the entire complete opposite of giving up peacefully. So everybody in this scene is a fucking terrible shot, except Baby, who's the only person that's actually hitting anybody. So she does take out some police officers. And that's when the police decide that it's time to stop fucking around because they didn't prepare very well for this. And they end up throwing some tear gas into the house, and all the police just enter, just straight up walk into the house. They don't take cover. They're not being careful or anything. So when the Fireflies pop up with RJ in the lead wearing a homemade, I mean, it's almost
Zoop zoop.
stop. He's like head to toe in like fucking metal car parts. I don't know. It's like the bullets are hitting him and they're just like flying off because he's wearing metal. And he's like a big guy.
He's telling me.
Yes, but he's not like tiny big. He's just like a big guy.
Are
Another
you sure? Because he's 6'7".
tiny 7'4" or something. Tiny is in the Guinness Book of World Records.
7'6", yeah.
7'6". So the Fireflies really start taking the cops out one by one, whittling them down. But there are a lot more police, and soon RJ is starting to get overwhelmed. So he tells the rest of the family to kind of retreat, which they do, and then RJ ultimately is gunned down. And Mother Firefly, because it is her baby, right? She runs in to check on him. And Baby is distraught, so she tries to run in as well to get her mom because they're very, very close because Baby is obviously the baby, right? But Otis pulls her out to escape. The police then confront Mother Firefly, who puts a gun to her head so the police can't take her. And she's like, over my dead body. Then she pulls the trigger. Surprise, surprise, it's empty. And Sheriff Wydell says, you ain't getting off that easy, bitch. I was like, rude.
So she deserved it.
But yes, so she is ultimately arrested. So that's when we get the title card and the opening credits, and that was kind of the cold opening of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, jam packed. So as the opening credits are rolling, Otis and Baby make their escape. So the movie scene, and Rob Zombie does this a lot, just in general, but he does it a lot in this movie. The actions of the movie are silent, but there's a song playing over the movie, like it's overlaid over the movie, so you just hear the music playing and not what's actually going on in the scene. He's a huge fan of that. He does it a lot, and I know that he's, in addition to being a big cinema buff, he's also obviously, as a musician, a huge music buff. So I know that all the songs that he does this with, he does it for a reason. I know that they are important to him. So that it's something that happens now. So the opening credits are rolling, movie's silent, but there's the song Midnight Rider by the Allman Brother Band is playing over it. There's a lot of freeze frame shots. And during these opening credits, we see Mother Firefly being taken into custody, not peacefully. Baby and Otis are escaping through like a drainage tunnel into a creek and then through a field. We then get a shot of a woman driving along, just kind of minding her business, before she comes across Baby lying in the middle of the road, pretending to be hurt. When the woman jumps out of her car to help her, Otis ends up sneaking up behind her, and they essentially jump her and stab her to death, and they steal her car and then leave her body in the middle of the road. So it's the first on-screen kill in the opening credits.
That's all. We never got the car. We were just sort of around.
I would never get out of the car.
No.
But it's the 70s. So then we cut back to the police going through the Firefly's house. It's all being filmed by a news crew. And the crew is describing just how horrific the crime scene is. So there's human skulls used as ornaments, body parts in refrigerators. There's a mass grave of decomposing bodies and the crawl space. And while Officer Dobson is going through a lot of their things, their notes and things, he finds a scrapbook that includes a picture of Captain Spaulding in his clown makeup torturing a woman. And this is kind of surprising. Rob Zombie did a really good job in the first one at making you believe that Captain Spaulding wasn't really involved in the Firefly, like in any of this, until the very end. And the only reason that you kind of get a clue in that he is involved with the family is because when Denise escapes, she jumps into his car and he says that he's driving her to safety, but really Otis is in the back seat, who jumps out and presumably captures her again. We know that the last time we see her, she's in Dr. Satan's lair on his table. So that's how we know that Captain Spaulding is even involved with this family prior to this scene right now. And so now this scene is confirming that not only is he involved with this family, but he himself also takes part in the torturing and killing of women. So Sheriff Wydell recognizes him immediately, and he's super pissed that they didn't know that he was a part of this whole crew. So then we cut to Captain Spaulding's place, and he's having some very aggressive sex with a slender blonde. He's in his clown makeup, and he's in his bed, and there's a clown mural above his bed. He, in so many words, ends up calling his lady companion a whore, which offends her, and things escalate to her pulling out a gun, and she ends up shooting Captain Spaulding in the face. But JK, because Captain Spaulding is actually dreaming, he jolts awake, and he's still in the same bed with the clown mural above it, but he's not in bed with a slender blonde, but instead he's lying next to.
I know exactly who it was. I saw that face, and it had been quite some time, but she could never escape me. And it was such a shocker to know that she was able to be released to record this movie. And I was like, damn,
You're not going to
Yolanda
say Yolanda
Saldívar strikes
Salazar?
again. I said, God damn,
Dante,
Yolanda!
I fucking knew you were about to say Yolanda Salazar. I fucking knew.
She must be stopped.
Dante, in my notes, I said that this is not a slender blonde, but instead a beefy brunette. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anybody, but she's not a slender blonde. Let's just say that. So, Captain Spaulding, he's getting out of bed, he's going to get ready for the day, putting his clown makeup on, everything. So then we cut to these two. They're watching TV and they're eagerly awaiting Captain Spaulding's new commercial that he paid good money for. And it's for his new attraction at his museum. So he is loving it, super excited about his new commercial, but it ends up getting cut short by a breaking news report that is coming live from the Firefly farm. And they show Baby and Otis's mugshots. Just then, Captain Spaulding is getting a phone call. It's Baby, and this is the first time that we learn that Baby is, in fact, Captain Spaulding's daughter because she calls him Daddy. They don't reveal anything about that in the first film. And she is warning him that he needs to leave his house because the police are going to be coming for him because they raided the family farm and they're in big trouble. So he tells her to meet him at Kahiki Palms Motel, like they'd always planned in case of a situation like this, and then he starts packing up to leave immediately. Now his lady companion, she asks him, "Where are we going?" And his reply is, "We ain't going nowhere, bitch." And he leaves her in the dirt. I mean, like, pulls off and, like, shoots gravel up in her face. He drives off so fast.
And that's how she ended up in Corpus.
Yep. From there, she goes on to Corpus Christi and ends up committing check fraud, starting a Selena fan club.
Right.
So then we cut to a brothel that is being run by a man named Charlie Altamont. And he is lamenting over the low sales from the previous night. So he questions one of his sex workers, Candy, about it. And this was really hard because as soon as she hit the screen, like I was typing and I wasn't looking at the screen. But when she started talking, I immediately got ick because she's E.G. Daily,
Yeah.
who voices Tommy fucking Pickles from the Rugrats. And it's hard. So she voices Tommy Pickles. She voices Buttercup from like Powerpuff Girls, Babe the pig. It's hard to hear her voice and not think of a wholesome cartoon character. But good for her that she's expanding her portfolio. So Charlie then tells her that she needs to change her approach to rope them in because she's saying they just come for $10 hand jobs and leave. She wants to do some Star Wars shit. He's not too sure about it. But while they're hashing this out, because Rob Zombie loves putting shit like this in his movies, this very unnecessary, raunchy dialogue, Charlie ends up getting a call from Captain Spaulding, who tells him that he's in some shit and he's on his way there. Charlie's like, I don't think this is a good idea. But Captain Spaulding's like, did I fucking stutter? Prepare a room. Then we cut back to Baby and Otis. They've arrived at the Kahiki Palms Hotel. And as they're pulling up, they hear on the radio their names in an all points bulletin and also Captain Spaulding. So the word is out. So they are a little nervous because Captain Spaulding is not there yet. They end up running into this traveling music group called Banjo and Sullivan. And the members of the group include Roy Sullivan, his wife Gloria, Adam Banjo, and his wife Wendy, and then a roadie named Jimmy. So we get some conversation, again, raunchy extra dialogue between the members of the group that we don't really care about this dialogue, but it's there. But after they're done with this dialogue, we then see that Jimmy the roadie is going off to the gas station to get some beef jerky. And Roy is going to like the back of the motel to get some ice for his wife, Gloria. It's at the ice machine that Roy runs into Baby. She approaches him. And Baby is very attractive. She's like a siren. So he's really infatuated with her. And he's just really playing right into her game. I mean, he's just like really eating it up. And so he's too busy kind of falling all over himself that he doesn't notice Otis is sneaking up behind him. Otis pulls a gun on him, and they end up walking Roy over to his motel room. I presume they do this because they can't get their own motel room. So inside their motel room, Gloria and Adam are watching TV. Wendy's taking a shower, and they're just having some really innocuous conversation when Otis and Baby barge in with the captured Roy, and they end up taking them all hostage. So now there's a point where Otis asks who is in the shower, and Adam says it's his wife, and he jumps up, I guess, to like fight Otis. I don't know, but Otis ends up knocking him down. And he's just like, what the fuck are you gonna do? What the fuck are you going to do? And he just like keeps asking him because he's like, you fucking idiot. And I was really curious too because I was like, Adam, read the room. They have guns trained on you. But of course, Adam says nothing. And Otis ends up kicking the bathroom door in on Wendy, and he drags her out of the shower totally naked, full frontal. So then Otis is like, so now is that everybody? And Roy's like, yeah. But just then, Jimmy the roadie knocks on the door with Roy's beef jerky. And Roy's like, oops, I forgot all about our roadie, Jimmy. And Otis is like, okay, so you're a liar. Bet. Now I know I can't trust you. So Baby answers the door, and she's able to talk Jimmy into the room. And this all happens extremely quickly. So he walks into the room. He's confused. They tell Jimmy to get on his knees, and he just has time to say, Roy, help, before Otis just straight shoots him in the head. No hesitation. And I was like, he wasn't being, I guess, like quote unquote compliant, but I'm pretty sure that Otis was going to shoot him regardless, right? Because Jimmy was kind of big, and 3 men in a room is kind of too much for them, right?
Right.
So I was like, I think he was just going to shoot Jimmy regardless of if Jimmy did what he wanted or not. But that's the second on-screen kill, Jimmy the roadie. So now everybody is freaking out. Adam vomits. It's very chaotic. And then we cut back to Captain Spaulding. So he's driving and his truck ends up running out of gas. So he ends up approaching a woman who's getting in her car with her son. And he just tells her, very nonchalant, I'm going to have to take your car because he has top secret clown business. And so he is in his clown makeup at this point. He is kind of laughing, but when the mom kind of laughs too, And she's kind of laughing at the idea of like the clown business because she really can't tell what the hell is going on because this is like very random.
Right.
He gets really offended and he gets serious as fuck and he's like, did I stutter, bitch? So now the mother is trying to hustle herself and her son into the car. And so she puts her son in the passenger seat. She's walking to the driver's seat, and Captain Spaulding's behind her, and she's trying to walk away. And Captain Spaulding tells her to never turn her back on a clown when they're talking to her. And then he cold cocks her in the face. It's a serious cold cocking. She is out on the ground.
Totally.
Totally out. But he jumps in the car with the terrified little boy. And he looks at him and he says, "What's the matter, kid? Don't you like clowns?" Now, the little boy is reduced to tears at this point because, like I said, his mom is on the ground. So he's like, "No, I don't." And Kevin Spaulding's like, "Why? Don't we make you laugh? Aren't we funny?" And the little boy is petrified. And so he tells the little boy, which is so cruel and totally unnecessary. He's like, "You better come up with an answer because I'm going to come back and check on you and your mother. And if you don't have a reason why you hate clowns, I'm going to kill your whole family." Out of pocket. Mad out of pocket.
Wait, but the thing is this. Was the little boy like almost like he wasn't kind of tired because he was crying? Why didn't he get out the car? I would have been out the car.
I think because it's the 70s, and I think that
That
he
excuse is only gonna last so many more times. You got one more time to use that, and after that, you gonna start coming up with something different.
he just didn't know what the hell was going on. He just said that you just have to assume that he was traumatized because the boy could have gotten out and he could have ran. He could have ran for help. Just so many things. But no, he sat there. And so luckily, Captain Spaulding kicks the kid out of the car and then he giggles to himself as he drives off.
Yeah, he is tickled.
Yeah, he was having a good time. He is a clown after all.
Always the fun part of the movie.
Always. Now back at the hotel, Baby is entertaining their hostages with just I don't know, like a racist song and some provocative dancing. And she's just repeating it over and over again, and the people are sitting there like I can't tell, is this real? Like, what do we do in this situation? Otis is additionally in rare form right now because he's really going out of his way to just like play the fuck out of everybody in the room, and he is tormenting them. I mean, he's calling Roy names and stuff, and it's at this point. So this scene is dark.
Long.
It's a long scene. It's dark, but if you watch the theatrical version or if you watch any version that's streaming, it's dark, but it's okay. This scene had to be cut a full, like you already think the scene is long, a full 2 minutes of this scene had to be cut in order for them to get it past the MPAA to be released theatrically. This scene gets a lot darker and I didn't like it.
Where did you watch it? To
Tubi.
Me too. Okay, so we watched the same one.
Yes. So I like the DVD version of the movie that includes like the Dr. Satan, because the Dr. Satan stuff was cut from the movie and then he put it back in for DVD releases. The motel scene is one that was cut, that was put back in. So it's Otis tells Gloria to stand up. So this is Roy's wife.
Priscilla Barnes, guys.
Right.
From Three's Company.
I know, it's tough, and not that it matters too much, but that should give you an indication. So Roy and Gloria are a little bit older. Wendy and Adam are a little bit of a younger couple. So he tells Gloria to stand up in the middle of the room and to strip naked, or somebody in the room is going to die. Adam tries to defend her by telling Otis, like, he's like, please, mister, this is insane. And Otis is like, boy, he says the next word that comes out of your mouth better be some brilliant fucking Mark Twain shit, because it's definitely getting chiseled on your tombstone. Adam, so what did you do? I shut my fat ass up.
You set your fat ass up. That's what it was.
Adam is zipped after that. He just lays his head down. And it's a tough scene to watch. So Gloria strips down. And then, y'all, trigger warning.
Oh my God.
Otis then sexually assaults Gloria in front of everyone. So in the theatrical release, which is like what we watch on Tubi, it's like what would be streaming, she is in her bra and underwear, and he sticks his gun down the front of her underwear, and he sticks his gun down the back of her underwear, and he, touches her breast, and he makes her get on her knees and put his penis in her mouth for a little bit. And then he stops and he's like, okay, well, let's go. But in the full, there's 2 extra minutes of this scene. Think about how long 2 minutes is. What's the reason?
He does that in Halloween.
And they ended up having to cut that too.
What is wrong with him with that?
I don't know.
It's weird. I forgot. I think like we said earlier, I hadn't seen it in so long. I forgot about like that stuff. Like he's doing that in front of like sister.
And baby is just like, okay.
Now we're having fun.
Yes.
They're disgusting. And what does Otis's penis smell like?
I thought the same thing. I thought the exact same thing, Dante.
If you just like on a regular day and you just at the gym or something, like you just like, you can get sweaty down there. He had sex with dead women.
Think about that. And he says at a certain point in the movie, he doesn't only have sex with fresh corpses. Not that it fucking matters, you guys. But Otis is a necrophiliac. Otis had sex with one girl, I think like a month after she died.
Oh my God, y'all.
I know, it's a lot. And I know that Rob Zombie, he has a goal to make you very uncomfortable. But sometimes, and I was like, I don't know if I'm being like too, I don't know, prudish, but the girl, Wendy, was cast because she agreed to do full frontal nudity. In Halloween, in his remake of Halloween, he would only cast Danielle Harris if she agreed to be topless in the movie. He wouldn't even consider her unless she agreed to some nudity. The girl that plays Linda, he would only cast her if she agreed to full frontal nudity. And I guess at a certain point, I'm just like, what benefit does it serve? I just feel like an extra 2 minutes of a rape scene is really aggressive. I think there's so many ways to show their depravity without that. But yeah, the scene ends up getting cut down.
It got cut down from what we saw?
2 minutes got cut out of what we've seen is the edited version. It's the cut down version. The MPAA wouldn't release the movie under an R rating unless he took that out. And there's some other things, but the motel scene is the thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's very uncomfortable. It's difficult to watch, but most versions that you'll see, that's the extent of it. He just kind of forces her to do some like oral sex type stuff and to kiss him.
when he's like saying weird stuff, he's like, look, it's like say that I'm the devil, you're the devil's filthy whore.
Yeah.
Just like
He's like,
weird.
and well, he's like making her say it
Say
too.
it, yeah. He's making her say it. He's like, say it. And then like you made her, you put that gun all in her bra, all in her booty, and then you like, but like you made her be close to you, which is disrespectful.
I know. I know. Kiss his mouth.
It's just a lot. And I just want to say, as I've gotten older, I'm just kind of like, we love scary movies, but like, that's too much. Sexual assault, it's just kind of like a lot. That hotel scene is off the rails, y'all.
The hotel scene is off the rails. I felt uncomfortable by it. I know that that was his goal. I don't know. Rob Zombie has a thing with sexual assault, and it's like I kind of forgot about it until
In his movies.
Sorry, in his movies. And I kind of forgot about it until seeing these two that were covering back to back, and then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot this is a thing that he does. But yeah. So let's keep going. So once Otis is done with that, he is like, okay, Adam, Roy, you come with me to run an errand, and Baby is left to watch Wendy and Gloria. So then we cut to the police station where Sheriff Wydell is holding Mother Firefly. He and Officer Dobson are going over her rap sheet, which is pretty extensive. And he ends up pulling out her scrapbooks. He ends up showing her a picture of Otis, Captain Spaulding, and Baby. It's a happy, nice picture. Sheriff Wydell is then threatening Mother Firefly because Mother Firefly is very close to Baby. And she sees her and she's like, oh, my angel. You know, she just loves her so much. And so he's threatening her, saying that if she doesn't cooperate and tell him where her family members are, he's going to kill them all. And Baby is going to die in the street like a dog. But Mother Firefly is not having it. So she's like, oh, well, I have some pictures to show you. So she ends up pulling out some pictures of a deceased George Wydell, so Sheriff Wydell's brother. He's dead and decaying, and it's at this point that Mother Firefly, she reveals that she is the one that killed him. So Sheriff Wydell at this point is losing it, and he attacks her and he threatens her, but she is completely unfazed by this because she is crazy. So now we cut back to Otis, and he's in the band's van with Roy in the passenger seat and Adam driving. And whenever I see stuff like this, wouldn't you wreck that van? Otis isn't wearing a fucking seatbelt. Wouldn't you roll that bitch? Like, I'd rather get into a car accident than go wherever this fucking psycho with a gun is taking me. Like, am I crazy in thinking that?
You never let them take you to a second location.
Right. The chances of survival after you're taken to a second location drop significantly.
We would have had a wreck.
Because why not? Wreck this bitch. And it's like, at the very least, he is going to be discombobulated, hurt. You know what I mean? He's not wearing a seatbelt. He's in the back. If you hit the brakes hard as fuck, he's gonna go.
Fly.
Yeah, flying through the windshield or something. Do something. Don't just drive to where he's going. You have no idea where he's taking you. Couldn't be me.
But it was all so that they can do it. Just get to it. So they can do this scene and he can have these lines.
Okay, right. So Otis leads them to a deserted location where he reveals that he's buried some guns. And he's really shitting on them for no reason, just really taunting them. And he's talking about how Adam threw up when Jimmy got shot. And he's talking about Roy's wife's, the smell of her vagina on his gun. It's just a lot of really unnecessary stuff.
I know you ain't talking about
Smells.
That would have been my death scene, because I would have had that.
This funky, bitch.
Smell like a fucking jar of old pig's feet.
Right.
You smell like pig lip, bitch.
A jar of spoiled ham hock, and you're talking about my wife's vagina?
Smell like open ketchup packets. Old bitch ass. I know you ain't
Disgusting.
fucking talking. Boy, I know you ain't talking. I know you don't want to go.
He might not have killed you because he might have been too fucking shocked.
Oh, musty bitch. I can't stand you.
I know he's musty. I know that he's fucking musty because I've never seen in their house. You get like a lot of shots of their things. They have scrapbooks and shit. I didn't see one toothbrush. I didn't see one fucking bar of soap.
I'm happy you brought that up. Did you notice in the scenes with Mother Firefly, her teeth are very white?
Her teeth are very white, but baby's teeth are very white too.
I think because they're whores and they have to attract.
I mean, maybe. We see baby later in the movie, and baby is taking a bath. So she cares about hygiene.
Well, yeah, like I'm saying, she's like the bait.
So she has to be clean.
But she probably still stink. They wash clothes in there? Come on.
And then she doesn't wear underwear.
In jeans?
In jeans.
That thing ripe.
I am exhausted. Like that shop funky monkey. That's what's happening right now. Okay, so Roy and Adam are like, look, what the hell is going to happen after we dig up these guns? And Otis, to his credit, is very honest with them. He's like, well, I mean, well, once we do that, that's kind of the end of the road, you know? I don't really have any more use for you. And so they're like, well, what the fuck? We've done everything you've asked of us. Just fucking let us go. And Otis is like, he goes off the rails because he's like, how can you presume to tell me what to do? He's like, look, bitch, I'm Willy Wonka. This is my chocolate factory, and you're gonna do what the fuck I say. And so, in the middle of this meltdown that he's having, Adam, who is operating with his fucking brain cells, he put his fucking thinking cap on. He ends up grabbing this really big, heavy tree branch, and he hits Otis with it, knocking him to the ground. And Otis ends up dropping his gun. So Adam keeps hitting him, and he's telling Roy to grab the fucking gun. I would have been so fucking heated because Roy, I don't know if I've ever seen a more useless person in a situation besides Barbara.
Okay. Carry on.
Roy doesn't grab the gun. I don't know. I don't know what happened to Roy. I don't know. It's just like he stopped functioning. I don't know because at this point he is not injured. So Adam, as he's beating Otis, he gets kicked, he gets knocked down, but he gets back up and keeps fighting. He grabs the tree branch, and Otis and Roy are wrestling on the ground for the gun. So Adam gets behind Otis and puts the tree branch across his neck, and he's choking him from behind. But Otis has a knife in a holster on his leg, and Adam ends up getting stabbed in his leg, and he drops the tree branch. But he pulls the knife out, and he tries to use it to stab Otis. But to no avail, because Roy...
I mean, he might as well have been in the car.
I cannot stress that enough. I think that Adam would have done better if Roy wasn't fucking there. Because Roy is not injured. I'm so fucking confused as to what is going on right now. So Roy has the gun in his hand. Otis actually has to take Roy's hand and turn it, and he pulls the trigger while the gun is in Roy's hand. At first I was like, did Roy fucking die and I didn't notice? No. That's not what fucking happened. I was so fucking confused. Roy never gets off the ground. He never shoots the fucking gun. He doesn't wrestle him for the gun. He doesn't pull it under his body. He doesn't try to hide it. He doesn't throw it farther away.
Which would have been very useful.
It would have been a way more useful than what he did. I mean, you essentially shot Adam yourself, you fuck. So Otis does this maneuver and he ends up shooting Adam right in the neck. So then Otis pries the gun from Roy's hand very easily, and he uses it to beat the shit out of Roy. And it's this point that Roy is receiving any kind of injury. I mean, Adam was fucking wheeling and dealing, trying to buy Roy enough time to pick up the gun. I am floored.
Otis literally was like, I'm beating you up for Adam.
Right. I'm surprised Otis didn't comment on how fucking stupid he was. I felt so sorry for Adam.
He probably was like, that didn't really happen.
I mean, I'm surprised he didn't laugh. Roy laid on the ground. I guess maybe in his mind he was like, let me just let that thing mutilate his white ass and
leave. Even when he had beaten him, he would have just ran. Just run.
I just feel like anything that he could have done would have been better because Adam was really giving Otis a run for his money. He was choking him and Adam got stabbed in the leg, and a lot of people would have given up at that point, but Adam pulled that knife out of his leg and he was going to stab Otis. Otis was only able to stop Adam in that moment because he used Roy's hand to pull the trigger on the gun to shoot him in the neck. I just, and I'm not saying, like, I don't know for sure that Adam and Roy wouldn't have died if Roy was, like, competent, because Otis is pretty scrappy.
I just think that makes better movie. If Otis would have had to fight to get those kills, then that would have made it more interesting.
I agree with that. I noticed that, because it's not like they didn't do some stupid stuff in House of a Thousand Corpses, because they did. But you said it in this movie that there comes a time where it's like, okay, Rob Zombie had a clear idea of what he wanted. He had a clear idea of the end point that he wanted to get to. And he was like, I just need to make that happen. And so at a certain point, people just start doing stuff, in my opinion, that is like, that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. And then also, it's really uncharacteristic. Like the stuff that the Fireflies start doing is like mad crazy. Like they're really spunky. They're fighting. They've killed 75 people, including cops. And then all of a sudden, they're just like fucking capable of doing anything.
Otis getting thrown out of windows.
And then Dante. Okay, let's keep going because I want to get there because there's some points that I really want to talk about. Because it's one of those situations, like, it's the most egregious examples of, like, movies are gonna movie.
Right.
So Otis grabs a gun, he beats the shit out of Roy, and then he uses the tree branch to hit Roy in the crotch, which was really unnecessary because Roy has proven that he is not about to get up and fight in any way, shape, or form. You could have just left him alone. Roy would probably still be laying there to this day if Otis just fucking left. Now, Adam is on the ground and he is shot and he is bleeding profusely, like, from his neck. He probably would have died from this injury just anyway. But Adam tries to tell Otis to please stop. And Otis is like, stop? He said, bitch, I've just started. And then Otis is like, I was going to take it easy on you, but you fucked around and you were trying to be a hero, and now you're going to find out. He then walks back over to Roy, who's lying on the ground like a fucking bump on a log. At this point, Roy has just been smacked around a bit. I know I don't have male genitalia. I know that it hurts to get hit in your male genitalia. Does it hurt enough to lay there and die?
No.
Okay. I was just checking.
I would have kicked Otis.
That's my thing. Cause he's sitting there.
You're on the ground.
You're on the ground. And then Otis was 100% completely distracted because he's standing over, or even like kneeling over Adam at this point.
Giving a monologue.
Giving a fucking monologue. Saying all these lines. Roy literally just lays there. Okay, so he's laying there like a bum monologue. He has less fight in him than Adam, who is actively bleeding to death.
To death.
Right now. Otis ends up telling Roy to pray to God to help him. He wants to hear him pray. And he's like, I want God to rain down lightning on me. And so Roy does end up praying, but ultimately nothing happens, obviously. Just Otis ends up looking down at Roy, and I know Rob Zombie was like,
I'm about to kill him. I'm about to kill him. Y'all,
I'm about to shut this shit down.
Shit down. Bars.
The mic drop. So Otis looks down at him and he says, I am the devil and I am here to do the devil's work. And then he takes the large tree branch and he bashes Roy's head in. He then goes back to Adam and the camera pulls out. So we're not getting like a close up of this, but we could just see that he's doing a lot of slicing and stabbing him repeatedly. And that is the third and fourth on-screen kills of the movie.
That line that Otis has, that's a quote. That's a Tex Watson quote.
Yes.
And you know that Rob Zombie is a real big fan of Charles Manson.
Well, remember how he put that huge fucking random Charles Manson poster in Laurie's room in the second Halloween? Which, why would she have that?
And gave her dreadlocks. I can't decide
which one's me started.
Which one is more egregious? No, it's just like it's just I don't know. That's weird. That's like weird.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, so that the quote that I am the devil and I'm here to do the devil's work. So those lines were uttered when the Manson family, when they went into the Tate house, right? So when they were killing Sharon Tate. And I guess that really hit home for Rob Zombie. And he was like, ooh, I'm going to use that. Someday, I'm going to fucking use that. That shit was hot. He's like, Biggie, where? I'm using this shit. And so that's where it comes from. And yeah.
That was the scene.
That was the scene. And that's how Roy and Adam die. So we still have two people left alive, right? The ladies. So back at the hotel, Baby is guarding Gloria and Wendy. And she's sitting in a chair and she's kind of just stabbing the chair with this huge ass hunting knife that she's holding. And that's when Wendy asks to go to the bathroom. And she's like, I need to go to the bathroom before I piss myself. And Baby's like, I don't give a fuck if you piss yourself or not. She's like, if you want the privilege to go to the bathroom, then you have to do something for me. So she asks Baby, like, what the fuck do you want? Like, that's so weird. So she tells Wendy that she needs to hit Gloria in the face. And it has to be hard. It has to be real. It has to be hard enough for her to hear. No fucking love taps. She's dumb excited to see this. She loves it. So Wendy slaps Gloria just like soft at first. The second one I thought was sufficient, but Baby's like, no, you need to fucking make it count. So she slaps the shit out of Gloria, knocks her blick and block off. So then Baby makes her kneel in front of her to tell her, like, thanks, baby, I'm having a good time, just for, like, shits and giggles. And I was like, this is weird to me.
It's like strange. That kind of shit is weird.
It's strange, but also what's really strange about it is like she lets Wendy go to the bathroom.
And then Wendy says, "Hey, you ever heard this thing called noise?"
I'm about to make it. So my thing is like, why did she let her like close the door to the bathroom? Why'd she let her go to the bathroom alone? I just feel like that's kind of
Because she doesn't give a shit.
no, she doesn't. No, she really doesn't give a shit. She's really unbothered by most things. Um, Wendy goes in the bathroom, and I mean immediately. I don't think a millisecond passed before she was like, "Help!" She is screaming her lungs out, and so she ends up breaking a window in the bathroom. And she's screaming at the window, and baby's like, I knew she was gonna fucking do that because of course she was going to fucking do that. So baby jumps up to stop her, and Gloria grabs baby's gun. And so she's holding it on her, she's threatening to shoot her, which I was like, you fucking should have, right? Like I hate in movies when people hesitate when you're in a life or death situation. It is me against you, like my life or your life. These people obviously are crazy. They cannot be reasoned with. Like Fool in The People Under the Stairs, when he hesitates and doesn't shoot Daddy, you just watched him eat a man, okay? Shoot these
Wait,
people.
why I'm so? I know, I know I'm low down because I would have let her go in that bathroom and lock the door behind her, and that's fucked up. I
It
know.
is fucked up. No, it is fucked up.
That's all it is. It's messed up. I would have been like, let me lock it behind and then left. Because at that point, once she's out the way, you really are free.
Well, she would have, yeah, maybe. But this motel is like in the middle of like the Texas desert.
Right.
The
It's no.
van is gone. I just feel like
You and your bra and drawers.
it's totally exposed. No fucking shoes on or nothing, Jesus. And so I just feel like if she would have ran out, I mean, I probably,
Just ran.
I
I just ran. I ran for my life, y'all.
didn't grab no
No
shoes or
shoes
nothing,
or nothing.
Jesus. But I just feel like she would have been in trouble regardless. But I don't know. They're by a road. I don't know. But I wouldn't just leave my fucking friend. Picking up the gun was a smart idea. Not immediately pulling the trigger was a stupid idea. And these are the kind of decisions that you make when you're not really trying to fucking survive. You and your husband deserved each other. I kept thinking this a lot when I was watching Halloween, which is so that's our other Rob Zombie movie that we're going to be doing. I just kept thinking at the end of the day, a lot of people get in these situations, and I think that, like with Fool, like Fool is just a kid, and I think it's probably hard to kill people. I think it's probably difficult for most people to
To
kill
kill
someone.
somebody.
Right. And so Michael Myers is always going to have a leg up on you because he's a killer and he doesn't think about it. He has no internal debate. He's never going to hesitate. He's never going to try to give you the opportunity because at the end of the day, she really doesn't want to kill somebody. So she's like, please just fucking sit down, like I have this gun on you, just give up, please. But the killers like Baby, Otis, Michael Myers, they're never thinking that way because they'll kill you for nothing. They don't want to plead with you. They don't need anything from you. And so I feel like that's where a lot of the victims that we see in this movie, they're always at a disadvantage. Because you don't ever, I mean, it's like hard to just like fucking take a life, but not to them, obviously.
I just feel like, yeah, but also, if you're in a space and it's killer be killed.
No, Dante, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
No, I know what you're saying.
Picking up the gun was a smart thing for Gloria to do. She doesn't shoot her, but additionally, Baby really gets in her head, and I didn't like this part. Baby does this a lot. She is very manipulative. She typically gets in people's head, and so she's telling her that she essentially needs Baby because she's like, if I'm not here, then who's gonna protect you from Otis? She's like, you've seen my brother, he's fucking crazy.
And this bitch believed it. I'd be like, bitch, he not here either, Pop.
Exactly. My thing is, Otis is not here. I don't give a fuck. I don't need a buffer right now. I'm going to kill you and then I'll leave and then we'll fucking come back and look for Roy and Adam. But he's not here right now. But Gloria then calls out to Wendy.
It's okay. It's okay. I was like, so you a damn fool.
Just like her husband. Because she yells out to Wendy, she's like, it's okay, you can come out of the bathroom.
Girl, I ain't come out that bathroom.
For what? But wait, at that very moment, as soon as she utters those words, baby who has that big fucking hunting knife in her hand, which I guess Gloria fucking forgot about, she just, I mean, it's so fucking quick because we know baby's good with knives, right? We've seen her use a knife. She throws it right into Gloria's chest. I mean, it goes right in, like, above her breasts. And then I was like, I was like, Gloria made, I can't think of one good decision that Gloria made in this entire movie, because then she drops to the floor and then she takes the knife and she pulls it out. So now that the knife has been dislodged, she's fucking bleeding to death, right? It's bleeding profusely. So she's obviously becoming the fifth on-screen kill. So baby walks up to her and she's taunting her and she pulls down her pants and she tells Gloria to shoot her in the ass. And to Gloria's credit, she does actually point the gun and pull the trigger. Way too late, in my opinion. But surprise, surprise. This gun is not even fucking loaded. So there's just a click. So that's when baby reveals that there's no fucking bullets in this gun. It's all just mind games. They're controlling you with the fear of getting shot. And yeah, Gloria fucking dies. And so Wendy, not knowing that any of this is happening, thinking everything's okay, I don't fucking know why, like, she comes out of the bathroom. And that's when she sees that everything is in fact not fine. And so she tries to run out of the room, which she does. She's trying to escape. And so she keeps running. She runs right into Captain Spaulding, who has just arrived. And baby is just like, Daddy, grab that bitch. And he does. And he headbutts the fuck out of her. And he knocks her out cold.
At this point, do you trust anybody in that area?
This dude has clown makeup on in the middle of a Texas summer. So after he headbutts her, she's out. Now we cut to the police station where the police are really poring over these scrapbooks that the Firefly family were keeping, and they're trying to figure out where the Fireflies went. So while they're doing this, they discover that the name Captain Spaulding was taken from a Groucho Marx movie, Animal Crackers. So they decided they're going to call this movie critic named Marty Walker to find out if there is any significance to this name. So when Marty arrives, he's very strange, but he's a Marx Brothers expert. So he has brought a list of all the characters that the Marx Brothers have ever played in their films. And the sheriff sees that all of the family's aliases, Rufus Firefly, Otis Driftwood, Captain Spaulding, they are all characters from the Marx Brothers movies. So then Officer Dobson, who is like a fucking idiot, he's like, well, let's go get this fucking Groucho Marx guy, bring him down to the station because he might be involved in all this.
So you said that out loud, huh?
He did. And Dante, at first, I was like, this is the dumbest fucking person I've ever seen in a movie. This fucking idiot, Groucho Marx been dead for decades. But then I was like, okay, wait. I'm sorry. This movie isn't modern day. Groucho Marx hasn't been dead that long in that universe. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, dial it back, dial it back. But even the movie critic is like, you are a fucking idiot, because he's like, he is dead. He died 3 days after fucking Elvis Presley, and Elvis stole all the headlines. So now the sheriff is not messing around when it comes to Elvis Presley. And he ends up kicking the movie critic out because he spoke disparagingly about Elvis. And he's basically like, fuck Groucho and fuck you too. And Dante, I just really want to ask you, why was this scene in the movie?
To give us backstory on the names that Rob Zombie picked for his characters.
But I don't need to know that. That can be a fun behind the scenes fact. I don't need this scene. They called in a whole periphery character to come in for 2 minutes of dialogue on something that I don't give a fuck about.
I feel like there's times where in this movie, and especially in Halloween, there'll be scenes where it's just like, when you aren't writing like depraved dialogue, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You really be like, damn, I really don't know what to do right now.
That's funny. I think we talked about that before. Like, he's not good at writing like character dialogue, like any kind of like character development, anything out of like kind of crazy, wacky, vulgar stuff. He's not great at that, especially when it comes to like women. But this scene
Was so strange.
I was like, what is happening?
I didn't remember this part, and it's another scene I didn't remember either. But like, I'll tell you when it happens. But like, I was like, this is very random. Because why does it end with Elvis?
Why does it end with Elvis in? And so he's not really even saying anything bad about Elvis. So the sheriff's reaction to what he's saying is also doesn't make sense to me. It's wacky just to be wacky.
Didn't you call him to get information? Did you really get everything you needed?
Exactly. You called him to get this information because he's supposed to be an expert on this. And then you're like, get the fuck out of here. Like, how dare you speak ill of Albert? All he said was like, he died 3 days after fucking Elvis Presley, and Elvis stole all the headlines. And then they make it kind of comical because he's like, get out of here. And he's like, fuck you and fuck Groucho. And then the scene cuts. And I was just like,
He was like, fuck all you Hollywood ones. He was like, Elvis was in Hollywood movies. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's like, he is in film. And he's like, I don't care.
Elvis is not a cowboy. He's an entertainer.
Yes. And we were talking earlier, the movie has a runtime of 1 hour and 47 minutes. For a movie like this, that's a little on the long side. Scenes like this were unnecessary. I don't care. Like, and I'm not saying that to be rude. It's just like, this is an idea that you had to name your characters, to like over explain it in the movie. It's a turn off. Like, show don't tell. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
How many scenes do we really need with the sheriff?
I could have done with a lot less fucking scenes. This definitely being one of them. I was like, okay. So we cut back to the motel, and Captain Spaulding finally washes off that fucking clown makeup. And Baby is watching a movie with Wendy all tied up. And when Otis comes back, he's wearing a mask made from Adam's face, which Otis loves doing that. That is an Otis fucking thing to do, to wear somebody's skin. After some heated back and forth between Otis and Captain Spaulding, Baby's like, well, what do we do with her? And Captain Spaulding's like, just leave Wendy for the maid to find. And then Otis decides to put Adam's face mask on her. And I don't know if you caught this, but Captain Spaulding doesn't like that.
No, because he's like, "What are you doing?" But that's strange because there's pictures of Captain Spaulding torturing the women.
Right.
So why are you making it like he's so above that when we've shown that he's not?
Right. But we cut to the next morning when housekeeping is coming to the rooms to clean, and she ends up finding Jimmy the roadie and Gloria dead in the bathroom. They've been placed in the shower, and the Devil's Rejects is written in blood all over the bathroom walls.
Which is just another nod to the Tate LaBianca murders.
Yeah. So the housekeeper goes to run out, and that's when I hate this fucking scene. She discovers Wendy is somehow hung up on the back of the front door.
By a shirt?
I couldn't figure out if something like it's tied to her, because I feel like she gets down pretty fucking easily. I don't know. I would have ripped off everything that I possibly could to get out of this fucking room to take this fucking mess. Her hands aren't bound or anything. It's like he does certain things for shock value. And this is one of those things, because Wendy's hung on the back of the door and she still has this creepy ass fucking Adam skin mask on. And she's freaking out. The housekeeper is freaking out. It's total chaos. Wendy is doing the absolute most.
When literally the less than the least is required.
Absolutely.
Why is the mask go?
Why is the mask still on her face? Putting Adam's face mask, I get it. That's really fucking traumatic. But the way that she's freaking out, she's totally free at this point. She is not bound in any way. I don't know how she was attached to this door, but she's not attached to this door anymore.
She's silent when that lady walks in.
She doesn't say anything. You wouldn't even know she was there. It's not until the lady approaches her she starts freaking out like this.
Which is weird because the lady says housekeeping. It's not like she walked in and you thought it was them.
Right. So, and you know that they were leaving because they said that they were leaving because you heard everything that they were doing. I don't think it's believable that they would have left her alive because she's seen them. She's heard them talking about what to do. I thought that I just don't, they kill people for less. I didn't think it made sense that they left her alive, period. But it's so unnecessarily chaotic, and they both run from the room. And Wendy runs into the street like a crazy person, still wearing this fucking mask. She never takes the mask off. And then she ends up getting run over by an 18-wheeler.
No. I mean, it's one that get ran over. She got mushed.
It hit her, and it was like an explosion.
You ever warm pizza rolls too long?
And it oozes out.
Exploded?
Yes.
That's exactly what it's like.
And then it's like all on the road. All the pizza innards are all over the road.
He was like, I'm going to fuck them up with this scene.
He really wanted her to get hit by that 18-wheeler. You could tell. He ate that scene up. He was like, yes.
Budget, charge it.
Exactly. But that's the 6th on-screen kill. Death by 18-wheeler.
Does she get hit?
It's no joke.
Nope. She's dead.
Yeah, no, unequivocally. Her insides are on the highway.
She said next to you in English?
Not anymore. So that draws the police to the motel, of course. So they come to inspect the scene, and this includes Sheriff Wydell. And he asked the housekeeper if she'd seen any of the Firefly family members. She hadn't. But then he ends up calling in 2 bounty hunters that show up. They call themselves the Unholy Two. Their names are Rondo, aka Danny Trejo, and then Billy Ray. And Wydell needs their help finding the Fireflies. Speaking of the Fireflies, so they're in the band's van and they're heading down to Charlie's. And Otis does not like Charlie. But Captain Spaulding really isn't trying to hear that because he's like, where the fuck else can we go? This is like the only place that I can think of. What the fuck are your ideas?
You don't have no friends, so shut the fuck up.
Exactly. But while they're going back and forth about this, Baby spots a sign saying there's an ice cream parlor in 10 miles. And she's like, I don't know what y'all are trying to do, but I just want to let you know that in 10 miles, I'm getting some fucking ice cream. Otis mocks her, and he's adamant they will not be stopping for this fucking ice cream. And the way they argue is very, very, very much like sibling. It's all through the movie. They bicker a lot. But Captain Spaulding is like, you know what? I think I want some Tutti fucking Frutti while we're there. And Baby's like, Tutti fucking Frutti sounds amazing. And it's really sweet because Captain Spaulding is like, come on, can't we stop for 2 fucking seconds to get the kid some ice cream? And Otis is like, I'm not gonna say it again. We're not stopping to get the fucking ice cream. So they chant Tutti fucking Frutti like 18 times. Otis is like, there's absolutely no fucking way. In 2 seconds, we cut to Captain Spaulding and Baby happily eating their Tutti fucking Frutti ice cream.
And I know it was good.
And I know it was good. And they're eating it and they're laughing at how big of a grouch Otis is. And he didn't get any ice cream. And I was like, it probably would have done you some good.
Yeah.
Baby ends up tapping him on the nose with it.
That's just nasty. I would throw mine away.
Well, they love each other. And they make it very human. He's trying to make them very relatable.
Yes.
It's like a heartwarming scene. And it's a complete juxtaposition to the shit that they were just doing an hour ago.
Yeah, but now it's almost like tonally different.
It's tonally different, but I just kind of chalked that up to the fact that Captain Spaulding is here now.
So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Then we get a very strange, it's a dream sequence. So it's Sheriff Wydell's dream. And in it, Sheriff Wydell heads back to the Firefly house where he sees his brother George sitting in a chair in the Firefly basement. And George, says that he lives there now, that it is his fate, and he cannot rest until this entire thing is over. He then asks Sheriff Wydell, he's like, you have to kill them all. Please kill them so that I can rest. And Sheriff Wydell says that he's already walking a thin line because he is a sheriff. He can't just go around killing people. That's not how it works. And George is like, I don't think I fucking stuttered. He's like, I need you to fucking kill them. Which is all so crazy. And it's just showing, like, Sheriff Wydell is already pretty fucking unhinged. He's not a sane person either.
No.
But at that point, he gets woken up by a call from Rondo, one of the bounty hunters. And Rondo tells him that they found one of Captain Spaulding's associates, a Wolf J. Flywheel, which is another name from the Groucho Marx character list. And he says Wolf J. Flywheel's real name is Charlie Altamont. Sheriff Wydell, he's like, you need to find Charlie and take care of them. So now, Sheriff Wydell, on this new mission, he goes to see Mother Firefly, who is chained up in her cell. And after pretending to flirt with her, he ends up pretty slowly and brutally stabbing her in the stomach with a hunting knife, just murdering her in her cell, which makes Mother Firefly the 7th on-screen kill of the movie.
Were you sad?
No. I didn't like Mother Firefly in this movie. I didn't like this actor's performance. I thought she was more realistic in the first one. Not saying like I don't know if I would have been sad or not if it was the same actress, but I was ready to not see Mother Firefly anymore.
Okay.
We get a chance to see Otis and Captain Spaulding and Baby in a different light as the movie goes on. They have these moments where they show footage of them just like being really normal and happy. They have these moments where they make them really human, like they stop with the ice cream and stuff like that. We don't get the opportunity to see Mother Firefly in that regard. Like, it's like she just keeps doubling down on being pretty despicable. So there's no reason really to like feel anything when she dies. So it's like once she's dead, you're just like, okay. So it's nighttime now, and the Fireflies make it to Charlie's place. And this is where we learn that Charlie is, in fact, Captain Spaulding's brother and Baby's uncle. And Captain Spaulding and Charlie have essentially known Otis for 30 years. I don't think Captain Spaulding and Charlie see each other as frequently as they did when they were like growing up together, but they all know each other. So this is all one big like almost extended family. So at Charlie's, Charlie pretends to pull a gun on the Fireflies, and he's telling them to put their hands up, and it seems really tense for a minute, but then it turns out that it's just a water gun, and everybody's having like a really good time, really laughing it up. Charlie introduces his ladies of the evening, Candy, aka Tommy Pickles, and Casey. And he says that they kind of all need to head inside so they aren't standing around like some, and him and Captain Spaulding to say this phrase at the same time that I've never fucking heard this, some country ass shit.
From my life?
Right? Like they're not standing around like some stonefoot roosters at a fuck farm. And I was like, Rob Zombie is wild as fuck.
I think we said it in the first episode. We were like, Captain Spaulding talks like a blaxploitation film.
Right.
So they have
like somebody's old black grandfather.
Right. So to say that like Kim Furry is his brother, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Right. And I mean, I cannot think of a better choice to play his brother
than Kim Furry, yeah.
Yeah. And it's, Rob Zombie uses the same people like over and over and over in his movies.
He's a white Tyler Perry.
Yes, which we also discussed.
Yes.
In the House with 1,000 Corpses episode. So if you want more clarification on that, but so it's like he was probably going to cast him in a movie anyway. I love that he was cast as Captain Spaulding's brother. It works. I think it's perfect. I think that they are both in rare form in this movie. I love it. So then we get a montage of everybody having just, a grand old time. They're smoking, they're drinking, they're dancing.
That lady is touching Otis.
Yes. So even Otis is having a really good time because presumably he has sex with Tommy Pickles, right? They're like flirting with each other. They're really feeling each other. Let's just assume that Otis takes a bath because we know that there is a bathtub on the premise. And we know that Charlie bathes. So during this time, Sheriff Lydell is losing it. He's like really gone off the deep end at this point. So he's like talking to himself in the mirror. He's telling himself that he's the Lord's arm of justice. Just like not fucking looking good.
Being crazy.
Being very crazy. So we cut to the next morning and we're arriving with Charlie and his employee Cleavon. to a chicken farm. And I love that there is a callback to this.
I love this callback. It's my favorite part of the movie.
Me too. So they get to this chicken farm, and Charlie's like, Cleavon, you know why I'm buying these chickens? And Cleavon's like, why? And he's like, because my brother makes the best fucking fried chicken in the world. And I was like, we know Captain Spaulding's famous fried chicken.
And y'all about to pluck these chickens?
They're about to eat them fucking
Fresh.
fresh.
So you know it's about to be succulent.
I wish we'd seen them
that.
eating it. So as they're buying some chickens, this is like quintessential fucking gratuitous Rob Zombie dialogue. It's like he's so fucking famous for this. So the vendor is selling Charlie the chickens, and he's like, oh, well, you're not gonna fuck these chickens, right? Why the fuck would that be your question?
Why is that herpy on his lip?
He has a herpy on his lip. He has a crusty ass herpy right on his fucking lip. And so Charlie is like, do you fuck chickens? And he's like, no. But that herpy on your lip would suggest otherwise. Additionally, he has a lot of fucking insider information about how to fuck a chicken, right? To say you don't fuck these chickens, I don't believe you. Only somebody that fucks chickens, that would your mind would go to when somebody comes to buy chickens.
Just so we're all clear, you all, you chop the chicken's head off and then you put your penis in its asshole and then it clucks.
Right. It's so unnecessary. I don't know if there's more unnecessary dialogue in this entire movie. It goes on for so long, too. But Charlie's like, I don't fuck chickens, you asshole. And the vendor's like, I'm not accusing you. But he's like, Cleavon, on the other hand, definitely looks like he's fucked a chicken or two in his life. Cleavon is outraged.
And I would be too.
I would be too, because that's a serious fucking accusation. Don't say that. I don't fucking chickens, and I don't want that getting around.
Cleavon looks like The Hills Have Eyes. Just want to say that.
I think Cleavon might be in The Hills Have Eyes. I'm like, in all seriousness, I think that he might be in that movie. So you're right.
I believe you.
But with that being said, he's like, I draw the line at fucking chickens. So Cleavon, they're driving off, and Cleavon's calling the vendor an inbred, and he's pissed. As they're heading out, Sheriff Wydell pulls in front of them, and he ends up threatening Charlie, telling him that he needs to set up the Fireflies, and he has to make sure that Captain Spaulding, Baby, and Otis are at the brothel at midnight, because Sheriff Wydell is planning on sending the Unholy Two to capture them, kill them. And he tells Charlie that if he doesn't do it, he's going to kill him and he's going to kill Cleavon.
Cleavon is really catching strays.
Cleavon's probably like, I shouldn't have even fucking come. So, back at the brothel, Captain Spaulding and Charlie are sitting and they're bonding over some cocaine. And they're really telling each other they love each other. I mean, they're brothers, right? So they're having a good time. This is when Charlie excuses himself for a minute, taking his cocaine with him. And Captain Spaulding is left sitting on the sofa. He's smoking marijuana. And then we get this little montage, and it's showing everyone, like Baby, Otis, Casey, Candy. They're all having fun. They're being really carefree. And this is another one of those instances where the scene itself is silent, but there's music playing that's like laid on top of it. So it's really kind of giving you this false sense of security, thinking that they're going to be okay.
But why? Doesn't that time sequence seem weird? It's like they have the scene with the chickens, and then right after that, it's the setup. I feel like there should have been more in between.
I mean, Dante, this movie is already long. Maybe if they cut the fucking Groucho Marx scene and the fucking motel down a little bit, we could have had more. Because I also kind of feel like we didn't get enough time with Charlie.
We didn't get enough time with Charlie, and I also just feel like if the goal is to make them appear like sympathetic, nothing was sympathetic about the hotel, and it was just so long. And then they left the hotel. They went on a field trip. They came back. They went back to the hotel, and then it's all for nothing. And now this feels like it's going too fast.
Right. I wish that we'd spent less time at the motel. That was way too long. I feel like it would have been better if we'd spent more time at the brothel. If they'd been able to sink deeper into a sense of like security.
Yes.
And then spent more time with Charlie, and then like the depth of his betrayal would have been way more. You know what I mean? Like they were only there for like 12 hours and they're betrayed because, spoiler guys, Charlie does betray them. So in this moment where everything feels calm, Casey leaves baby to go get a beer from the fridge, and we see Rondo come up behind her and slit her throat. So that's the 8th on-screen kill. Billy Ray then enters the room where Candy and Otis are in the bed, while Rondo enters the bathroom where baby is taking a bath. Candy tries to shoot Billy Ray, but gets shot right in the middle of her forehead. So she's the 9th on-screen kill.
She was over. Finished.
It happened really quickly. Otis tries to attack Billy Ray, but then gets fucking thrown through a window. And that's like, Otis is like kind of down for the count after that for a while. That's when the music fades and we see Sheriff Wydell. He's walking up behind an unsuspecting Captain Spaulding, who's still sitting on the couch smoking. And Captain Spaulding is expecting it to be Charlie coming back when he hears somebody enter the room, but then he turns and he sees that it's Sheriff Wydell instead. And so he looks at Sheriff Wydell and he tells him, like, if you're here to kill me, then you better fucking kill me. You better make sure I'm dead, otherwise I'm going to come back to kill you. And that's when Sheriff Wydell just straight shoots Captain Spaulding in the stomach. And Captain Spaulding falls back on the couch, and we cut to Otis. So we don't know Captain Spaulding's fate for a minute. Otis is outside just getting kicked around like a fucking soccer ball by Billy Ray. And baby is being made to watch. And Charlie is just watching for free. Wydell then drags out Spaulding. He tells the bounty hunters to load them all in the back of his truck. And they're all obviously very upset with Charlie. So they're cursing him. And they're like, you're kind of a piece of shit. And Charlie is like, business is business. And he retreats into the brothel. But you can kind of tell that he does feel like an asshole, which you should.
Right.
So Sheriff Wydell then drives the Fireflies to their farmhouse.
You gave them home court advantage?
Well, it doesn't matter, right? This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast. They become useless at this point.
Right.
He is able to drive all 3 of them. He is alone. He puts them all in his truck. It is 3 of them, 1 of him. And he takes them to their house, and he's able to tie them all up, each of them in a chair. And I'm like, these fucking people who are so resourceful, these straight fucking ruthless killers, are just made totally inept in this moment. Baby's not injured whatsoever. And Otis got beat up a little bit, but you can't tell me that he didn't get fucked up earlier with the tree branch. And he
Harder.
was still able to. Exactly, because it was a fucking tree trunk. And so I'm just like, you got beat up a little bit. And, you know, Spalding got shot in the stomach. Okay. Okay. And he's older. Okay. I'll give you that, I guess. But I'm like, I don't get it. How is this man able to control all three of these ruthless killers this way? This doesn't make sense to me. Like, they just become fucking limp fucking noodles all of a sudden.
How did he get them all out that van? And what? And they were just like, we're not gonna run. You're on the run.
I don't know. They don't show it because it's kind of improbable. And they don't have leg irons. So while they're there, he does this whole speech about how his ancestors were vigilantes and he tried to walk the line and abstain from being a vigilante, but he just can't do it because this family is just so evil that the law isn't made for people this evil.
Sir. This is a Wendy's, and if you're gonna have this kind of like conversation, we need to call in professionals.
I am not here for you to unpack your fucking family fucking trauma. Well, they're sitting there and they're just kind of like, okay.
What you want me to do?
Right, like what the hell are we talking about? So that's when he starts pulling out pictures of the Firefly's victims, and he's using a staple gun to staple the pictures to their bodies. So he pulls out one picture, and this is where Otis says that he did kill that girl, and he had sex with her for like a month. So of course Wydell puts all these staples in him as he's stapling her picture to him. And then there's this really sweet moment. So he pulls out another picture and he's like, well, which one of you killed her? And I couldn't tell who really killed her because Baby's like, oh yeah, I killed her. And then Captain Spaulding is like, no, I killed her. And so Baby's like, no, I did it. I killed that bitch. And Captain Spaulding's like, Baby, shut up. Because he's really trying to protect her from getting all these staples put in her. Because it looks pretty fucking painful, right? But she's also, I think, trying to protect him. She doesn't want him to get any fucking staples in him. But he ends up putting all these staples in Baby. And after he's done like stapling these pictures to her, he just smashes a glass bottle over Otis's head just because. Just because he's like, you're a fucking freak.
And you stink.
Exactly. You're offensive to my nostrils. So he then pulls out a picture of his brother, and he's lamenting his brother's death. And he's saying his brother's death is the reason that all of them are going to get killed tonight. So Captain Spaulding starts talking a lot of shit. And he's saying that he's the one that sent his brother to the farmhouse in the first place. So Sheriff Wydell uses a cattle prod to start tasing him and beats him over the head with it. And then, just because, he tases Otis too. So this is when he says that he's already slayed a demon. And he pulls out pictures of Mother Firefly's body. And he shows them to Baby. And Baby, who was very, very, very close with her mom, she is distraught, inconsolable, and obviously very pissed. Throughout the whole movie, Sheriff Wydell has been saying a lot of religious stuff. And so he's taken the stance of like a religious vigilante. And so he's saying a lot of religious stuff now. And while he's doing this, he takes these huge fucking nails and he hammers them through Otis's hands. He hammers Otis's hands to the chair, very crucifixion-like. Just because. There's not really a reason that he's chosen Otis. It's just like Otis is really getting the brunt of his anger. But after some time passes, Wydell ends up untying Baby, telling her to run, essentially, so he can hunt her down. But before he goes to hunt Baby, he ends up pouring gasoline all around Otis and Captain Spaulding, and he sets the Firefly house on fire. So now Baby is running around the farm. This is another fucking moment that irritated me, because you just mentioned a second ago, well, now they have home field advantage. And I was like, it doesn't fucking matter, because why does she seem so fucking lost? She's running around like she's never been here before. Do you remember in House of a Thousand Corpses when Mary starts running and she's like, oh, don't worry, I'll chase her. And she's able to like cut Mary off and kill her because she obviously should know this property very well. She obviously should be able to navigate it extremely well, including the woods. She's running slow as fuck, even though she's not injured. She had the staples in her, but like it was just in like her fucking torso, and it was one picture. I'm just like, nothing's wrong with your legs, and you should feel really fucking comfortable here. You should be able to arm yourself
and hide
on your own farm or hide. There's a whole fucking well that y'all take people to deliver them to Dr. Satan. There's nowhere on this farm that you could hide. I was like very confused. But okay. So Wydell is chasing her. He's hunting her with an axe, and he starts barking and stuff.
this weird. It's crazy. It's like, dang, you have lost control of the situation. Not because you're gonna kill them, but because you just didn't kill them.
You didn't plan any of this out. The situation is spiraling. For all you know, they could have a bunch of weapons hidden somewhere. She could be running to a bunch of weapons. Like, what are you thinking? You brought them to their house and then sent her running. And it's just because this is a movie that she wasn't able to do something to defend herself.
That would have made it better. That would have made you want her to win. Now you just want her to win because you're ready for the movie to be over.
Yeah. So while she's searching in the barn trying to arm herself, Charlie ends up coming up behind her, and he tells her that he's there to help everyone. She's like, you're a fucking asshole. He's like, yeah, but we don't have time to get into that right now. He's like, I just need to get you out of here. And she's like, Otis and Dad are still in the house. You have to save him. So he's like, okay. He puts her in his car. He says he's going back for Otis and Captain Spaulding when Wydell appears with an axe and just axes Charlie to death. So that's a 10th on-screen kill. When Baby gets out of the truck to run, Wydell ends up shooting her in the back of the leg. And he then starts to beat her, and he's strangling her. And then this is all in slow-mo, when out of nowhere, Tiny, who's been at the house this whole time, because remember, he was not there in the initial raid. He was in the woods with a dead body. He appears, and he yanks Wydell up off of Baby. And, I mean, he twists Wydell's head like a fucking
Bottle of Andre.
It's the way he twists this man's head is bonkers. Outlandish as hell. I mean, it's so he's dead. It happens so quick. Like, Wydell is fucking dead as a fucking doornail. And yeah, that's the 11th on-screen kill.
Wydell.
Dead. So he then picks Baby up off the ground, and Baby tells him that Captain Spaulding and Otis are still in the house, so he has to save them. So Tiny enters the house, and at this point, it's fully ablaze. And he is able to save Otis. He pulls those nails out of his hand, and he unties him and Captain Spaulding, and they're reunited with Baby outside. Otis, Baby, and Captain Spaulding all load up in their car, to leave, but Tiny doesn't go with them.
Because...
Well, I have a theory. So Otis asks if he's sure about this. Is he sure that he doesn't want to come? And
Oh, I
Tiny
have a
just
theory now,
nods
too.
yes. And then Otis says that they'll come back for him. And then they pull off and drive away. And then Tiny just slowly walks into the burning house right before it really explodes and becomes completely engulfed. And he dies that way. And it's not an on-screen kill. It's just, like it's just a really sad death. But what was your theory?
They had to find somebody.
My theory is that
You're like, okay, yeah,
no, I guess they're like, what do they care? They killed all those people at the motel and then left their calling card. They don't give a fuck. My theory is that Tiny, I don't think, can survive in the real world.
because he's 7'6".
And extremely burned. And nobody can see his face except his siblings. Remember they talk about that in House of a Thousand Corpses. He was burned by his dad.
Mm-hmm.
When his dad went crazy and set the house on fire, he got burned, and he's really, really shy about his face. In this movie, he wears a bag over his face. In the other movie, he wears a mask, and he doesn't like anybody to see his face. He is okay with, like, Baby and Otis seeing his face because they're his family. But, I think that he has never existed anywhere outside of this farmhouse. And I was just thinking to myself that I don't feel like he could exist anywhere else. All his family is dead except them. They're on the run. He can't blend in anywhere. He has nowhere that he can go. And I think that maybe he just might be kind of ready, And I thought that it was like kind of poetic in a way that he died in the fire.
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's just what I was
That's
thinking.
better than mine.
And I was really, really sad to see Tiny die. I didn't like that. It really tugged at my heartstrings because Tiny is bad.
Because he was raised by these crazy people.
Right. And we see that in House of a Thousand Corpses in moments where he lets them go. Remember, Denise is like, can you untie me? And he does, and he lets her go. And Otis is like, man, what the fuck? And he's like, I don't know, And so it's like he does do bad things. It's just like I think that he was just born into this family. I don't know.
No, I agree.
So then we cut to the next morning, and Otis is driving the very wounded family down an open road while Freebird plays over the scene. So this is another scene where it's totally silent except the music that's overlaid on the movie. I thought that it was such an effective use of the music playing, and Baby and Captain Spaulding are in the back seat. They're in really, really bad shape. They're very bloody. Everybody is just, in rough shape. And we get some shots. So he's looking in the rearview mirror. He looks at them, and then we get some shots kind of interspersed throughout the scene, and it's of Otis, Baby, and Captain Spaulding, and it's them smiling and laughing together during happier times. They're holding hands, and then we see Otis. He stops the car in the middle of the road as Baby and Captain Spaulding are asleep in the back seat, and he's just staring ahead, and it almost looks like his eyes are welling up with tears. And then the camera pans from him in the car to the road where we see a huge police blockade that's being headed by Officer Dobson. There's about a dozen officers there, guns drawn. And so that's when Otis just slowly wakes up, Baby and Captain Spaulding in the back, and they're obviously in a lot of pain, in bad shape, and he hands each of them a gun, and he has a gun, and they just kind of ready themselves. Baby and Captain Spaulding kind of sit up in the back. They all point their guns towards a police officer. Otis points his gun out the window towards the blockade. And they essentially just get into a shootout with the police. They kind of go out, guns blazing. They hit some police, but the Fireflies are hit with a barrage of bullets. And then the camera kind of freezes. There's a freeze frame. And then the end credits start to roll. And it's just a scene of the open road. And so we are to assume that the Fireflies died. And I thought that it was such a good, really, really effective scene. I thought it was such a good ending. I hate that there is another movie after this. I think that they should have died this way.
Yeah, because they deserve to die. Nobody was really good in this movie, so everybody died. I like that.
I have different feelings. I thought it was a little bit more sentimental than just like, oh, the bad people died. I thought that he did a really good job with the scene.
No. I feel like he did a good job. I'm just saying, like, I feel like that was a good ending because everybody was dead.
Yeah, and I appreciate it because they're family and they really love each other. And they had the pictures of them kind of interspersed where they're really happy. And then, you know, I just thought that it was like a really emotional scene, partly because when I was reading for the fun facts, those scenes that they intersperse in there, so that wasn't originally supposed to be in the movie. All that footage was kind of candid footage that Rob Zombie had taken of them, like after they'd wrapped shooting. And they were just kind of all hanging out, kind of saying their goodbyes after the movie was done filming. And so he just really liked the idea of putting that footage in the film. And so it's candid. It's like, because in real life, these people really like each other.
Right.
So it just made their bond in the movie a lot more realistic. And I thought that it was really sad because it's almost like watching it today, we know that Sid Haig dies.
Right.
And so watching him die on screen after having this like really happy footage of him happy with his on-screen daughter and like stepson, I was like, that's just really, really touching. And I know that in 2005, it wasn't the case, but it's like watching it in hindsight, knowing that, I was like, I just thought that it was such a good ending. Like it just hits so much harder now than it did back then. And then it's like, then what was the reason to make a third one where they survive?
You never know people's money situation. Because I feel like it feels like a cash grab. It's the same movie.
And it reminds me a lot of I don't know if you remember, who was it, like a couple of years ago, Matrix Resurrection came out. And I was like,
Why?
fucking why? That's right, why? Why? It just feels like that movie felt so utterly unnecessary, and I feel like it didn't give us anything. I feel like it didn't expand the story in any meaningful way, and I feel like it didn't do any justice to the characters, and that's how I feel about Three from Hell, especially because Sid Haig was so sick and was barely in it, so you brought him back just to have him die again? I don't know. But yeah, so the kill count, it's 11 on-screen kills, and then Tiny dies in the fire. So that was sad. Not surprised by this. So the Rotten Tomatoes is a 55% critic, but a 78% audience. And I'm really not surprised that it's that big of a difference.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, this movie is not like a critically acclaimed movie, but it does have a cult following, just like House of a Thousand Corpses.
People say this is his best movie.
Yeah. I feel like that's the majority
Census.
opinion. Yeah. Is that this is the best one.
What do you think? You like it better than Corpses?
House of a Thousand Corpses is my favorite Rob Zombie movie. I know that you feel this way, and I saw some people talking about on the Instagram. A lot of people like Lords of Salem too,
I love Lost Salem. I watch it. I watch it. After watching these, I end up watching Lost Salem again.
which isn't a Firefly movie, so
No,
that's nice. That's a little refreshing too.
I think Sherry Moon is just really good in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's something different. I can't wait. I can't wait till we do that one day.
Yeah, so that one was requested, and we do plan on doing it. We're just trying to fit it in the right time.
We couldn't do three with Rob Zombie movies, y'all.
Right. So the IMDb score is a 6.7 out of 10 with 105,000 reviews.
Which is not bad.
That's not bad. I was actually kind of surprised. So some fun facts.
Ooh.
So this is actually the final film of Matthew McGrory. So that's who plays Tiny, which is makes his death in the movie ultra uber extra fucking sad. So he passed away. The movie came out in July of 2005. He died in August of 2005 of congestive heart failure. I mean, like less than a fucking month after the movie was released. And so when the DVD came out, Rob, our best friend Rob,
Rob, what we love.
yes, he dedicated the movie to his loving memory, which is like just so fucking sad. So, like I was saying earlier, the film went through the MPAA 8 times and it got an NC-17 rating every time until the very last one. And this was almost specifically because censors didn't like the motel scene between Bill Moseley and Priscilla Barnes. That whole fucking rape scene. So Zombie had to cut 2 minutes of it to get a theatrical release. And then he restored it on the unrated DVD release. He stated in an interview that up until 31, which was released in 2016, The Devil's Rejects was probably the hardest film of his to cut down in order to receive an R rating because he really didn't want to cut anything out of it. Surprisingly, Roger Ebert likes this movie, which is really funny to me. So he gave it 3 out of 4 stars. And he wrote, quote, "There's actually some good writing and acting going on here if you can step back from the violent material enough to see it." And then later in his 2006 review for the horror film The Hills Have Eyes, because the Hills Have Eyes remake came out that year, Ebert referenced The Devil's Rejects, writing, quote, "I received some appalling feedback when I praised Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects, but I admired 2 things about it that were absent from The Hills Have Eyes. One, it desired to entertain and not merely to sicken. And 2, its depraved killers were individuals with personalities, histories, and motives." And I was like, I think that that's a good assessment.
I agree.
Right. Stephen King actually likes Devil's Rejects too. He named it as the 9th best film of 2005 for him. And I was like, okay, mad specific, but okay.
So Stephen King have a top 10?
Right. Yeah. So he must put out like his top 10 of the year. So that was his 9th best film of 2005. And then, like we said earlier, Otis's line, "I'm the devil and I'm here to do the devil's work." It's that the Manson family, so Charles Tex Watson, that was said during the Tate LaBianca murders. So the woman who gets her car stolen by Captain Spaulding is played by PJ Souls.
Totally.
Yeah, PJ Souls, I love that she is working out here doing the damn thing. We love a PJ Souls cameo. PJ Souls, of course, was in the original Halloween. So, an entire Dr. Satan subplot was cut from the theatrical version of the film, like we said earlier. So, Rob Zombie thought he looked too campy. It would be too out of place in a movie that was more grounded in reality than House of a Thousand Corpses. And remember, he felt like House of a Thousand Corpses was really messy, really flawed. So I think he was trying to be really serious about making like a real movie this time. So Dave Sheridan, the actor that plays Officer Dobson, actually plays Special Officer Doofy in the Scary Movie movies. And I thought that that was so funny.
That is funny though. Doofus.
And then final one. So while Rob Zombie initially planned to use practical effects all throughout the film, because he only wanted to use effects that were available in the 70s, because Rob Zombie loves the 70s. Time constraints forced him to essentially make almost all of the violence CGI. So there's 100 digital shots in the movie. So anytime you see any direct violence, it's like throat stuff, gouging, anything like that, all that was achieved through CGI. And then all of the non-contact violence, like long-range gunshots, like hitting clothing and stuff, the guts on the highway, like all of that stuff was achieved through practical effects. And yeah. So that's all I have for the fun facts. So final verdict, what do you think? Is it a hit or a miss?
I'm gonna say it's a hit.
Okay.
All in all, when you watch this movie, I personally don't think it's as fun as House of a Thousand Corpses, but
True.
I think it's good. I think it has good parts. It can be better, but any movie can be better if you just kind of sit down and it's easy to be the Monday morning quarterback with this stuff. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, it's a really fun movie. It's not one I think I'll want to watch again for a while because I just don't like that motel stuff. But once you get out of that part, honestly, it it starts to move faster and it's fun.
I agree.
You get to see them in a different light.
Once Captain Spaulding is with them,
With them, they're fun.
yeah. Everything involved with Captain Spaulding is fun. Like his brother is fun, the fried chicken is fun. So I agree fully. I give it a hit as well. I feel the exact same way. I don't like the motel scene, but I agree that after you're out of it, it moves fast and it is fun and I like it and I feel like I like the changes that he made to their characters. I thought Captain Spaulding was a little bit more toned down in this movie than he was in House of a Thousand Corpses, which I thought he was great in House of a Thousand Corpses, but I appreciated that he toned down Otis, and I appreciate that he toned down Baby. It's not a ton, but Baby, you remember her voice in the first one? Like, she was really over the top.
You're so
Yeah. And then Otis was
albino.
really unhinged in the first one.
Why did he come downstairs with that baby in that
That
jar?
baby in the jar? Yeah.
But you also have to think, though, side note, with Captain Spaulding, in this movie, he's not at work.
Right. So he's not hamming it up.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But that's how I feel. I like the changes that he made to the characters. I like that it was a little bit more grounded in reality. I like House of a Thousand Corpses better, but I do think that this movie is a hit. And I am just going to continue through my life and pretend that the third one doesn't exist. Because I thought that this one had a perfect end to the Firefly family. Yeah. So, do you want to tell people about the social media?
Yes, please. Please, please, please follow us online, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all Did You Get That on Film, as well as our Gmail account. If you don't have any social media and you still want to reach out for us, it's all Did You Get That on Film. We're very active. We're always excited to hear, what you guys think of the episodes. Also, if you don't mind doing us a favor, wherever you listen, you can leave us a review. It definitely helps.
And we will be back next week with a brand new episode.
Yeah, more zombie.
Yeah. More Rob Zombie. Yeah, so that's it. Bye!